My parents were kind of restrictive. There's a lot of kids that didn't want me to hang out with because they'd be a bad influence. But guess what? I'm the one who became the bad influence. Let me tell you about it. So, junior high school, I was one of the ones that was smoking. I hung out the kids that smoked because we already went through the smoking thing. I hung out the kids that smoked. I hung out the delinquents. I hung out the kids that took drugs. The kids my parents didn't want me to hang out with because they were the bad influence. But I became the bad influence. I was the one that was doing shit that nobody else was doing. Like, here's something that I used to do when I was a kid. My parents put me on restrictions. Wouldn't let me do stuff because I'd do something wrong at school, so I'd be on restriction. I couldn't go out. I couldn't hang out with my friends. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. So they'd put me on restriction. So my cure for that was I would sneak out at night. I would sneak out at night and just walk around in the neighborhood and do nothing, do delinquent shit. Go in people's cars to find car doors that were unlocked and steal stuff from inside of cars that I had no use for. And then like one night in particular, I went out, found some kid's newspapers for his paper route. I had a paper route too, but I'll tell you about that later, maybe, who knows. But anyway, I sold his papers from his paper route, took him down an alley, and just set him on fire. Set him on fire for just setting him on fire. My dad had a bunch of those little liquor bottles that you get on the airlines and stuff. Had a shitload of them. And I didn't use them to drink. I used them to pour on the papers because alcohol was flammable. So I set all these papers on fire in an alley for no reason at all and burned down I didn't burn down the alley, but I started a lot of fires. So anyway, what happened was the next night, my parents went out to dinner and they came home. I'd been on restriction for God knows how long, and they came in and told me, you know something, Jim, your mom and I have been thinking, you've been on restriction for a long time and you've been better. So we're going to take you off restriction. Well, that day in school, the fire marshals came to school and confronted me about the fires that I set in the alley. And they said I had to tell my parents, so they were going to tell them. So after they took me off restriction, told me everything's good, I had to say, well, guess what? Have something to tell you. Have a confession to make. I was setting a bunch of papers on fire, and the fire marshal told me to tell you because, I'm in trouble now. And needless to say, they didn't take that well, and, I was back on restriction. But that didn't stop me from sneaking out at night and doing stuff. I still stuck out at night and did stuff. Even that, another night, this friend of mine used to come over and we'd sneak out together. So one night we found a car that was unlocked and we went in the car to steal stuff. But we tried the ignition and the ignition turned on. And we took the car, we went for a joyride. We were driving down the street all happy, laughing. We're like 15, 16, I forget how old, young, 15, driving around, smoking cigarettes, driving. And all of a sudden we passed a cop car and the cop was going one way and we got scared. And I grabbed his wheel and I turned the wheel and we, boom, crashed into a car that was parked. And we got out and we ran. And, we didn't get caught right then. But next day at school, I thought it was so cool to tell everybody that me and my friend stole a car last night. He was quiet about it. He didn't say shit. But I'm walking around bragging, yeah, we stole a car last night. Well, needless to say, I got back to my parents, got back to the police. The police called my parents. And my dad was a mechanic, and he had to fix the cars that we wrecked. So needless to say, there was another bad mark on my not hanging out with bad influences because I became the bad influence. And, if you like these stories, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. Follow me. I put up different stories every day. I'm going to start being more consistent with it, so follow me. Share, like, subscribe, do all that shit. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Tell your enemies if you don't like these stories and if they bore you. Tell them so you can bore them too. But anyway, I really enjoy talking about my life with you guys, and I hope you enjoy listening to it. And it's going to get better. I got a lot of layers to uncover, seriously. So, like I said, please subscribe, like, and share, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon.